The groundskeeper froze. Something moved, barely visible, on the grave at the far edge of the cemetery. He raised his binoculars again. The same shape. Still there. It hadn't moved in days. At first, people thought it was a stray. A dog, lying across the grave like a statue. But this wasn't ordinary loyalty. It was obsession. The dog hadn't eaten, hadn't drunk water. It didn't bark or growl or run. It just waited. Through the rain, through the heat, through the silence. And then, 3 days in, the drone caught something the naked eye couldn't. The footage chilled the crew to the bone. The grave belonged to Sergeant Kyle Bennett, 29 years old. U.S. Army. 2 tours. 1 Bronze Star. No family left. No next of kin. Except one. The dog, Murphy. Kyle had rescued Murphy from a bombed-out alley in Kandahar. A skinny, limping shepherd mix barely clinging to life. He wasn't just a dog. He was Kyle's shadow. When the gunfire stopped, Murphy was there. When letters from home stopped arriving, Murphy was there. When brothers in arms didn't make it back, Murphy was still there. After Kyle's discharge, they were inseparable. Murphy would sit beside him during the long nights when sleep never came. The nightmares, the tremors, the silence that no civilian could understand. Murphy didn't speak. He didn't ask. He just stayed. And then, on a day like any other, Kyle collapsed in his kitchen. Massive cardiac arrest. No warning. No goodbyes. Just silence. Murphy was found curled beside him, whimpering. They buried Kyle with full honors, but almost no one came. A folded flag. A few lowered heads. The cemetery was nearly empty. Just government staff and one stone-faced commander who hadn't known Kyle personally. But Murphy came that he escaped from the shelter that same night. Broke through a loose fence, crossed miles, and somehow made it to the very edge of the cemetery, where he stopped and stayed. Every attempt to remove him failed. If lifted, he whimpered and clawed to return. If bribed with food, he ignored it. If caged, he howled. That on the 3rd day, a weather drone passing overhead caught something the human eye missed. At a shimmer in the soil near Kyle's grave. Movement, not the dog. Something beneath him. They sent a team. Quiet. Careful. They didn't want to disturb the grave, but what they found was undeniable. An underground vibration. Subtle. Rhythmic. Further inspection revealed it wasn't the grave shifting. It was Murphy. If he had been gently pawing at the ground. Just enough to dig a few inches. Not to bury something, but to reveal something. A tiny, hand-carved box. Inside was a thumb drive wrapped in cloth. On it, videos. Footage from Kyle's helmet cam. Missions no one had ever seen. Evidence of how he had saved 6 villagers from an ambush. Orders he disobeyed to save innocent lives. Classified. Ignored. Buried. Murphy had carried the box in his harness. Hidden there all along. No one knew. Except him. The footage went viral. Kyle's name was reinstated with honor. A posthumous medal. A crowd gathered weeks later at his grave. Not in mourning, but in awe. And there was Murphy, sitting tall beside the grave. Watching. Guarding. Still silent. The crowd didn't speak. No one dared break the moment. An old general finally approached and knelt beside him. He placed his own insignia at the base of the headstone. He never needed medals, he whispered. He already had someone who knew the truth. True loyalty doesn't bark. It waits in silence. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others just don't leave. Murphy was adopted by a veteran family. A young girl named Ellie now reads Kyle's letters aloud to him every night. But every year, on the anniversary, Murphy returns to the grave. He sits there, quietly, until the sun sets, and then walks away without a sound. Not because he's sad, but because he remembers. If this story touched you, tell us where you're watching from. Leave a comment to honor the silent heroes in your life. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the quiet courage that still lives among us.